G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. This episode we're moving on with the 4-link in the back of the Colorado. A couple of things we've got to do. We've got to make the suspension links. The ones we've got in there, we put in last episode were just the mock-up links. They are not structural. They're just the original links that have been chopped up and a bit of pipe sleeved over the top. So they won't work. We need to make some permanent ones. We're going to modify the GU fuel tank to take the RC Colorado fuel pump hanger and gauge assembly. Let's go. All right, first job to move on to in this episode is going to be making the suspension links. We're going to make the lowers and the uppers. The lowers are just fixed length. So I've just got some 32 MB schedule 80 pipe here. So it's seamless and heavy wall. It's like 4.85 millimeter thick wall. So quite strong, but the lowers will be fixed with a bit of 70-75 solid round bar inside it. It's like 70-75 aluminium round bar. So 70-75 is a lot stronger than your normal aluminium, which is 60-61. The size of this is obviously the upper length, just to give you an idea. It fits in there quite snugly. It's not tight fit, not a snug fit, but it will add a lot of strength should it take a hit when we're off-roading. That's your lowers. For the uppers, they're going to be adjustable. So we need to have, just to allow for a little bit of maybe pinion angle adjustment and also to centralise the axle in relation to the chassis. So you can wind one out and it'll push the axle across a little bit or in or whatever you need to do. Also, we've got some threaded rod here, and the inside of the link has been threaded to suit the threaded rod. And I also have a high tensile nut that's been spigoted, okay, it's been machined to slot over the link itself. So when I'll TIG weld that on, obviously with the threaded rod inside, get it tacked on so all the threads line up, and that will be quite a strong way of doing it. Then what we'll do is just go through and weld it all up. So let's get on to that. That's the upper link adjustable portion of the link done. So now I've got to go through now and just notch these pipes, notch the tube for the uppers and also the lowers, so to allow for the bush mount, the bush cup to be welded on. I've gone through and done the math, figured out how long it needs to be. So hopefully it's right, but we'll double check it before we weld it all up. And then I will have to also go through and machine up some aluminium just to go inside the bush cup. So when I do weld it, I'll need to put a bit of heat into it to make sure there's good penetration. I don't want to distort that bearing cup too much. So we'll put that in, go through, cut these up and get into it. That's the links all done. I took them down to a mate's place to get them to sandblast them. He got a big sandblaster. It took 10 minutes to sandblast them. It was a nice, fast way of doing it. Save using my little handheld one. It would take forever. So they're all cleaned up. I'm going to give them a bit of etch primer now so they don't go rusty. It is a bit cloudy and rainy outside, so hopefully the weather holds off. But we'll do our best. It doesn't have to be a perfect finish. It's just suspension links, but it'll look a lot better than what it did. The paint on it was really rough. It probably didn't show up in the camera maybe so much, but it was rusty underneath. It actually is Chinese-made steel. I didn't realise until I picked it up, but it had made in China on it. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it holds up. I've been mucking around with this for a little while. It looks like I've got it sorted out. So this is the GU pump hanger assembly, and this is the Colorado one. A couple of things. So they've got an adapter plate here from Ironhide. I think from the photos I've seen, it's designed for that to sort of sit over this, and that clamps down. What I'm looking at is that this hole is just a little bit too big. It does sit, it won't fall through, but it doesn't sit on the O-ring. So I think I'm going to just use that plate and cut up the original GU pump hanger and make like a sandwich plate. So it'll sit on both O-rings, a bit of Celastic, and I think it'll be good. The other thing too I've noticed is obviously the Colorado pump hanger is quite a bit shorter, about 40 odd mil shorter, 45 mil shorter than the GU one. I tried to get these rods out to see if I could get long ones, but it's not coming out. It's not threaded, it must be barbed, similar to the bottom. What I'm going to do is actually cut and shut this stainless rod here, the two stainless rod hangers here. So I'm going to cut and shut them and extend them 45 mil I need to get it to touch right at the bottom. Now, I have also gone through and modified the little sump inside the tank here, or swirl pot, I suppose, an internal swirl pot. We don't really need it for this because that's essentially what this will do for it. There's a little check valve, a little like non-return valve, little thing there. The pump will suck fuel into this canister here, and it should always have fuel in it, even on slopes for a certain amount of time before it becomes a problem on low tanks. But so we shouldn't need that swirl pot. It is a bit hacked up in there, but I'll give you some footage of that. I'll put it over top, bit of B-roll. It's a bit ugly. Other than you guys and me, you'll never see it again. So it should be sweet. That's the links in, the final links, but they're not going to be in for the final time. They have to come back out again at some point. Putting them back in so I can mock up the Design Fab Industries sway bar. So it's similar to the front sort of style. It's a torsion bar with long arms. So essentially it'll allow lots of wheel travel without really restricting flex as well. So they work really well. I've used them in my old race car. Most of the winch truck and off-road race cars these days have something to that effect in them. So they work really well, they allow for wheel travel, and they don't bind up like your factory style sway bars do that have just got short little lengths and short arms and don't really work that well. I should say they do work in terms of stopping body roll, but they don't work that well off-road, probably what I should say. We're going to go in front, just behind the cab, and it should clear really nicely in there. is everything here ready to go, basically painted up, ready to get bolted back in. The rear diff, all rebuilt, fresh bearings and seals with the air locker. I didn't film much of it. I didn't do a how-to or anything because mainly I don't really know what I'm doing. I sort of watched videos and got my way through the first one, showed you how I did it or sort of how not to do it. Simo, a good mate of mine, came over. He's a proper mechanic. He sort of helped me, supervised, made sure I wasn't making any huge boo-boos. And I think we're pretty good on that one, just because that's the rear diff. That's a lot more important. Well, not both important if you want four-wheel drive, but no, the rear diff's pretty important. All I've got left to do now is actually put a bit of paint on the chassis, and we'll be able to let that dry and then bolt all this back in for the final time.
Before I put the hubs back on the rear axle, it's a good opportunity to upgrade the hub studs. The standard 80 series studs are 8mm and use a conical washer. The upgrade is to drill the hubs out to take a 10mm fine thread and install some 12.9 grade socket head cap screws. And this does away with the annoying conical washer as well. This mod isn't just stronger due to the shear strength of the larger bolt, but also increases the torque that can be applied to the bolts, which in turn increases the friction between the axle and the hub faces.
Okay, so I ordered some coilover springs the other week and I've just gone into fitting them. I've gone with what most people sort of seem to be running in these sort of setups, which is a 250 upper spring, 10 inches long, and a 300 pound lower spring, which is 12 inches long. The length is not that important, but in this case, because a 10 inch shock, 10 inch upper, 12 inch lower, it's not quite enough to hold whatever weight I've got, whether the bar's a bit heavier or obviously the big winch is adding a bit of extra weight. For whatever reason, this is not quite enough. So you can calculate, based on the known spring rate, you can actually figure out how much you need from here. So the upper spring compressed with the full weight on 4.35 inches and the bottom compressed 3.86 inches. So what you do, you get that compression, how much it compressed, and you times it by the rate of the spring. So for the upper, you times 4.35 inches times 250, and that gives you a rough weight, which comes out to 1,087 pounds. For the lower, you times that 3.86 of compression by the rate, which is 300, which gives you 1158. Okay, so you add those two together, so it's 1,087 plus 1158, add them together, divide that by 2, that gives you an average of 1122.5 pounds. So our unsprung corner weight on this vehicle is 1122.5 pounds. So now we know that, we can actually figure out what spring rate we want to get. So I want to have 7 inches of compression on the spring on a 10 inch shock, 7 inches compression with no preload. So and then I'll want to wind probably 1 inch or 2 inches of preload into it, which gives me the ride height I want and the shaft showing. So you want a little bit of preload on there, not too much, but a little bit. So 1122.5 pounds, divide that by the 7 inches of compression, gives you 160 pounds neat. So, or thereabouts, 160 pounds. For a dual rate setup, you times that by 2, which gives us 320 pounds. So 160 times 2 equals 320. So you could theoretically run 2 320 pound springs. If they made them, you could, and you would have a spring rate, effective spring rate of 160 pounds. But they don't make them, and plus it's always good to have a softer top spring slightly and a heavier lower spring. So 320, they don't make a 320 spring. So to get that, you would need either have we have a 300 over 350. So that's what we're getting. So 300 over 350 on the lower. I'll have to take these off, send them back to the guys at Goat Off-Road. I spoke to Ned today. He's the guy I spoke to from Goat Off-Road. He recommended the Crawlpedia calculator, which I had seen before, but I didn't actually watch the video. Maybe I watched it a very long time ago, and it really helped explain how to do all these calculations. So if you're in the same sort of boat or you're trying to figure it out, you really need obviously a known spring rate to start with, which that video goes through, but it makes it pretty straightforward to figure out where you need to be. Hopefully you're still on board, because that was a lot of maths and a lot of talking from a bloke that doesn't really know what he's talking about.